Welcome back. The big focus story at this hour. After multiple complaints by female athletes of harassment and misbehavior by coaches, the Sports Authority of India has stepped up action. The authority has asked the National Sports Federation to ensure that women coach mandatorily accompany the female athletes contingent during their domestic and international travel. National Sports Federation have been asked to increase the strength of women coaches and support staff in the coaching camps. So clearly the Sports Authority of India is now in a clean-up mode. New rules mandate that women coaches are compulsory in contingents that travel, whether it's a domestic coaching camp or a tournament or an international coaching or training camp. So Sports Authority of India clearly has decided to crack down on the coach misconduct issue, showing zero tolerance for any kind of misbehavior towards female athletes. In fact, to get our viewers an idea of what these guidelines are, I'll just request the producer to play it on our screens. The guidelines there on your screens. Women coach to mandatorily accompany contingent, compliance officer to be appointed for all camps, officer to enforce SOP on prevention of sexual harassment, pre-camp sensitization modules to be presented, and also increase or raise the strength of women coaches. As of now, there aren't enough number of women coaches, so a lot of course correction there is required to increase the strength of coaches and support staff. So let me introduce our guests joining us here this evening. Mr. Manoj Rana from the National Gymnastics. He's the coach of the National Gymnastics. And also Dr. Deepa Malik, President of Paralympic Committee of India and Paralympic Games, silver medalist and Khel Ratna awardee. Padma Shri Deepa Malik also joins us today. Thank you. Very good evening to both of you. Before I come across to you for questions, I want to bring in my colleague Karishma, who's been updating us and who's been consistently covering these issues of women athletes. Karishma, we covered all three instances, if I remember correctly. The first one of a woman gymnast who claimed that she was wrongly videographed. The instance of a cyclist came in with a lot of shocking details of kind of misbehavior, and then a sailor whose identity was not disclosed. Over to you to tell us how the Sports Authority of India has now woken up after this kind of a consistent coverage that we have made.
Well, it's absolutely a Frida. We have been reporting this story religiously, and now we are seeing the Sports Authority of India swing into action. And there are very important 4 guidelines that have been issued to ensure women's safety. One, obviously, that a women coach will travel with the team, whether it's an international tournament or a domestic tournament. A compliance officer will be appointed with the team, and the role of the compliance officer will be to ensure that all these guidelines are followed strictly. Third important point is that pre-sensitization camps will be held for coaches, athletes, and
well, apologies for that. Let me go across to Deepa Malik first. Deepa Malik, good evening. I want to begin by asking you, now that SI has issued guidelines to the National Sports Federation of India, women coaches to mandatorily accompany contingent with female athletes. And this is something I remember you raised as well, that there is a need for more number of women when we had you on the show earlier. But is this a feasible idea? Are there enough female coaches in the system to make this plan workable?
First of all, let me congratulate for a very prompt action on Sports Authority of India and the Ministry of Sports part, because the way they have reacted to these complaints, the way they have immediately got into action mode, clearly gives out a confidence to female athletes and sports persons and women in ecosystem of sports that now they will be heard. Their security, safety, dignity is going to be taken care of. It is not just a mere a comforting kind of an assurance, but it is a written mandate, and that has to be followed. So this will create an atmosphere of trust, faith, and this will also encourage women to come out and join the world of sports in various roles. Now, yes. Coming to this decision of women coaches, yes, it is a very welcome suggestion. It is a really very welcome action that has been taken. But my only request here is that whenever a woman coach is added to the team, because if you will be introducing new coaches, there will be lack of experience. So they should always be added as additional coach and not
Okay.
sacrificing any, the right kind of guidance to the athletes, whether male or female athletes. So
That's a very important point. Yes.
slowly induct them into the system so that they gain experience. But totally giving away the athletes to a new coach, I think that is something that needs to be
Yes.
monitored.
Absolutely. Point well made, because there can't be an instant overnight overhaul of things. One can gradually, get a new system started with more female coaches. They can assist to begin with. Manoj Rana, आपको क्या लगता है जो मेल फीमेल रेशियो है उसको लेकर आपका क्या कहना है? क्या ये वजह है कि इस तरह की घटनाएं हुए, फीमेल कोचेस सिस्टम में नहीं है? अभी जो है स्पोर्ट्स अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया ने अनिवार्य कर दिया है कि हर कंटिंजेंट में जो है फीमेल कोचेस होंगे. बट जैसा कि दीपा मलिक जी ने कहा कि शुरुआत में शायद ये पॉसिबल इस तरह से हो सकता है कि असिस्ट करे, मेल कोच के साथ चले और धीरे धीरे एक चेंज सिस्टम में लाया जा सकता है.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, good evening to Deepa ma'am and Mirror now. And I'm totally agree with Deepa ma'am. Deepa ma'am ने सही कहा है कि overnight कोई भी मैजिक नहीं होता है. कि अब जैसे मैं जिम्नास्टिक्स में बात करूंगा मैम कि हमारे 90% फीमेल एथलीट के जो कोचेस हैं वो मेल हैं. तो उनके साथ जो हमारे स्पोर्टिंग स्टाफ है या फिर असिस्टेंट कोचेस हैं उनको हमें एजुकेट करना है और उनको आगे लेके आना है ताकि वो भी इस लेवल तक पहुंच सके. क्योंकि अभी के डेट में यंग कोचेस और नए कोचेस को सडनली अलाइट लेवल के अगर प्लेयर दे देते हैं तो उनकी परफॉर्मेंस पे इफेक्ट होगा. एंड एनीवे जो साई ने डिसीजंस लिया है और जो मिनिस्ट्री डिसीजंस लेती है वो वेलकमिंग है. ये बहुत अच्छा डिसीजंस है. बट उसके अपार्ट में भी मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं कि रूल्स बनाए जाते हैं लेकिन रूल्स को फॉलो करना हमारे इंटरनल हमारे ऊपर डिपेंड करता है कि हमारे बेसिक कैरेक्टर्स कैसे हैं. हम जो बच्चियां हमारे पास ट्रेनिंग करने आती है वो हमारे खुद के बच्चों से बढ़ के हो जाती है. तो ये हमारा एक राइट बनता है, हमारी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि उनको सेफ जोन देना. सो रूल बनाया है बहुत अच्छा है लेकिन वो कोचेस का अपने अंदर से भी आना चाहिए कि हमें किस तरीके से फील्ड में काम करना है और किस तरीके से अपने कैरेक्टर को बिल्डअप करना है. क्योंकि अगर वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट की बात करते हैं तो आज हमारी कंट्री में वर्ल्ड वाइड देखें तो इंडिया में फीमेल एथलीट्स ज्यादा टॉप पे आ रहे हैं. तो हमारी प्रायोरिटी बनती है कि उन्हें सेफ जोन देना चाहिए और ये बहुत अच्छा स्टेप है.
That's something, Deepa Malik, I'm sure you'll agree with, that on one hand you have such huge sporting icons, all women icons that we are talking about, which encourages younger women to take up sports. But when they see this, it might become a deterrent. However, do you believe now that the Sports Authority of India, without wasting much time, has taken this action, do you consider this a cleanup act? Do you consider this a move that will welcome more young talent, women talent, into various sports?
India is at the cusp of change. We are very swiftly and very organically turning into a sporting nation. The focus of Honorable Prime Minister towards various fitness activities, Fit India movement, that has become not just a sporting movement, but it has also become like a celebration of people. People's movement, it has become the Fit India movement. So the focus is definitely on building more and more sporting heroes. And the list will be incomplete without having women on the board. So this is a perfect time with Khelo India being such a success, whether it was in the school games, whether it was in the university games. We are seeing the graph going up as far as the medals are concerned. Any team going out at any level, across all levels, whether junior, sub-junior, whether it's, and new sports are emerging, indigenous sports are emerging, where women are making mark every day. So this is absolutely the perfect time to introduce these kind of guidelines so that now that the focus has shifted for us to now become a sporting nation, we have woken up to fitness, we have woken up to sporting culture, and with this new journey, more and more women will feel safe to come forward and participate.
Yes, because, I mean, we had this discussion earlier and it was rather appalling to see what women athletes had to endure in silence. And hats off to those women who came out, who reported, forced us to have this conversation. And lo and behold, you have action taken. You have a new set of guidelines. Sports, Dr. Deepa Malik, is considered to be an offbeat career for women. It's all the more important that we create that ecosystem. The last thing you want are instances of this nature. We were in fact running information about those instances so that our viewers know what you're talking about. The first case about a gymnast who claimed that she was videographed without her knowledge. Then the case about the cyclist who revealed that her coach even wanted her to share a room with her. That, of course, became perhaps the tipping point that forced the sports body to take note. Female coaches are important. But, these are actions that will help confidence building, that will quell doubts and fears, even for parents who want to push their daughters into various sports. लेकिन मनोज राणा जी, क्या ये ज़रूरी नहीं है कि कोच और एथलीट के बीच में जो है एक विश्वास रहे, एक उस तरह का माहौल बने? सिर्फ इंटरनेशनल और डोमेस्टिक ट्रेनिंग कैंप्स की ही बात मैं नहीं कर रही हूँ. किसी भी स्टेडियम में, किसी भी माहौल में वो जो है गलत व्यवहार की जो पॉसिबिलिटी है उसको रूल आउट करने की ये कोशिश है. लेकिन क्या आपकी ये उम्मीद है कि ये मुहिम जो स्पोर्ट्स अथॉरिटी ने स्टार्ट किया है, क्या ये सक्सेसफुल रहेगा? क्या इससे स्पोर्ट्स की बढ़ोतरी होगी देश में?
बिल्कुल होगा मैम, क्योंकि हमें कहीं ना कहीं से तो स्टार्ट करना ही है. जैसे अभी साई ने क्विक एक्शन लिया है साइकिलिस्ट के कंप्लेंट पे. अभी अरुणा बुद्धा रेड्डी का भी yesterday I was in साई ऑफिस एंड इंक्वायरी डन, और जो कल्प्रिट लोग थे वो उनका ट्रूथ सामने आया है. तो मैं आशा करता हूं कि वो भी जल्दी ही एक्शन में आएंगे. तो ये जो सिस्टम अभी स्लोली स्टार्ट हुआ है, तो ये जो बच्चे ट्रेनिंग करते हैं हमारे पास, उनको आगे आके बताना चाहिए, चाहे वो अपने माँ बाप को बताएं या अपने कोचेस को बताएं, क्योंकि आज वो बच्चे अपने करियर को लेके डरते हैं कि मैंने अगर रिपोर्ट किया तो शायद मेरा कोच मुझे नेशनल नहीं भेजेगा या ये नहीं. ये सब चीजें कहाँ से पनपती है? हमें पहले वो रूट ढूंढना है कि ये स्टार्ट कहाँ से होता है. उन कोचेस को ऐसा कहाँ से इतना वो मिल जाता है कि उनको सपोर्ट है किसी चीज की, या फिर वो कहीं ब्यूरोक्रेट्स या फेडरेशंस के इतने क्लोज हैं कि वो खुल के ऐसा काम कर पाते हैं. क्योंकि जितने भी अगर आप ये केसेस देखेंगे, ये वही लोग करते हैं जो कहीं ना किसी के क्लोज हैं. बट साई के और मिनिस्ट्री के इस एक्शन के बाद काफी कुछ इम्प्रूव होगा और विमेन्स का बहुत ज्यादा इन्वॉल्वमेंट बढ़ेगा स्पोर्ट्स में.
जी.
और इससे हमें काफी हेल्प मिलेगा.
जी, इसी उम्मीद के साथ मनोज राणा, Dr. Deepa Malik, thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. It's really heartening to see that our coverage and these conversations, these narratives that we believe in, that we've started here on the channel, has led to some positive action. Sports body has taken quick action after a consistent reporting on these cases. So let there be no taint on the sportsmanly spirit. Safe environment for women must be the hallmark of any sporting camp, whether it is in India or abroad.